Hi, Alex Fortey here. We are on the golf course. We have a par 5 and it's a very good hole. Now the green, which we'll see a little bit later, is quite tricky, not only in its undulations but how it's positioned, and what club we hit up into it is really going to dictate how we play this hole. So, you know, this is the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you a couple of options because I'm still learning the golf course, and also on the day it's also how you are feeling with your swing and really trusting that the shot that you are committed to is giving you confidence. Because let's say you're hitting fades all day long, or slices. For a start, you should, by now, if you watch some of our other stuff, are going to have a few more ways to combat that. But trying to suddenly expect that you're going to hit a perfect draw off the hole just like that is, a little bit stupid. So we have out of bounds on the right, quite a lot of trouble there. So we have to use our noggins a little bit to see how, best we can actually play this game. Now, too many of you, when we're playing, you just make it so much harder for yourself because you're just going up onto the tee. You're thinking, okay, long hole, I need to try and give this some, and you just try and swing hard at it. You haven't given yourself a really good objective. There's too many swing thoughts, too many objectives. So when we're out on the golf course, you have to really, at best, pick one, very worst 2 swing thoughts, but they should never, ever, ever detract you from your objective of taking dead aim. And does that feeling match what you're trying to do? So that's, it gets boring because I keep having to say it, and full disclosure, I have to remind myself of this quite often as well. So here we have a par 5. I'm not certain of the length, but as you can see, it's quite a long one. And the first way I'm going to play this is actually trying to hit a hard fade. The fairways are very lush, so they're not actually rolling out much. So, I've got to try and carry this as far as I can. But the last time I played this, I was actually on quite a difficult downslope. I managed to still get it onto the green and pretty close, but it was quite a tricky shot. So I at best want to start it left side of the fairway and then curve it back so I've got a bit more of a flatter lie and hopefully catch a little bit of the slope to run off. Now you might be thinking, I'm not going to be able to do that. Well, unless you tell your brain exactly what you want to do, you've actually got no chance. So me talking through it is telling my brain also what I'm trying to execute, so I can at least display something similar to what I've told you. So there's the shot that I have in mind. I'm picturing there's a corner of the bunker off in the distance. I'm going to cut it just away from that towards the right side of the other bunker, and hopefully 300 odd yards down the fairway. So I've got my intermediate point. There's a little fleck of light grass here. That's my target there. So I always try and do at least one good practice swing to match that target. So there. I got a little bit stuck on that, so I want to make sure that I don't resist. Bit better. Got through it a little bit better there. So let's give this a go. Got my target. Going to make sure I get a shallow angle of attack and feel like I can hold off and hit hard left without any fear. Okay, not bad. Started a bit further right than I wanted, but that's got about 1 yard roll out. So let's try that with a drive that's going to do a bit of a lower draw, because I did hit a high fade there. So let's see where a low draw would get me, where I'm keeping my body over the ball a little bit more, trying to get as much roll out of this as possible. Still trying to get as much distance, but I'm starting at that little pot bunker on the right. I've got my intermediate point just here. I'm going to do one practice swing that matches that. Okay, so there's the intermediate point. Close my shoulders just a little bit. Make sure I stay down. There we go. That was exactly what I wanted to do. And that has got a little bit more rollout and is actually the perfect shot for this hole. So there's a couple of options for you, and we can also now really focus on what you're trying to accomplish with every golf shot. Tell your brain to tell your body so you can actually execute what you're even trying to do. So give those a try, and now we can go and have a look at where we are down the fairway and finish the hole out. I've got a 5-iron here. Yeah, I haven't got my laser or anything like that. I still actually quite like to play just freewheeling. Now, I'm just trying to see if this is in my way a little bit. So I'm just going to move it just a smidgen. The lie is pretty much the same, just to give me a bit more, of a better stance. Now, you might have heard the big bend there. I'm not in London. I actually have no idea where that's coming from. So I'm in Louisville at the moment. But yeah, someone has a very big bell that sounds like Big Ben at the Houses of Parliament. So I should find out where it is one day. Anyway, enough. Here we are. Maybe you've got about 230 yards. I've got a 5-iron. You can see a lot of the problem, you know, there's rough or at least like thick fringe before the green. The perfect shot is a high fade in. That's the ideal golf shot, but that's going to cut off some distance. And there is actually quite a big slope up into the green. So as I'm talking us through this, I might actually, if you bear with me, I'm actually going to hit I'm going to hit a 4-iron with a very high fade on this, trying to picture it up that way. That's the shot I want to hit to try and land it softly. So we don't have too much wind, a little bit into the face. So I'm going to make sure that my practice swing matches that feeling of that high fade that I want to see. I'm going to feel strong hitting it towards the left, and if I pull it a little bit, we're going to still be in pretty good shape. So there's my intermediate point, just to here. So now I set up to that. I've got a bit of a downslope actually, so that's going to make the fade a little bit harder for me. But I'm setting up just left of the target. I've got that tree in the distance in my mind. Come on, keep cutting, keep cutting, keep cutting. All right, so I hit the shot shape. I just actually didn't trust myself to hit it hard enough. So, I mean, I'm in a fine position, but we're just a little bit short of the green. So, let's move on to the next one, shall we? So here we are. Second shot, second shot. I want to still hit a fade. It's going to aim at the tree at the back and cut all the way back. I have like 185 yards to go. I have a 7-iron here. Got to make sure that I give it enough to get towards the back of the green, but I'm staying left. That's where I want to be. If my fade brings it back, if the slope brings it back, that's perfect. But I'm going to aim over the intermediate point. We've got a little bit into wind here, so I'm going to try and keep it a little bit lower. I'm going to try and stay centered and execute that fade with confidence. There we go. Now, again, full disclosure, I actually pushed that probably a little bit, but because my intention was far enough left, I've ended up maybe like 15 feet from the flag, so I've actually got to putt for an eagle on, a 550 odd yard hole. So it's quite easy golf, or it's easier when you really tell your brain what you're trying to do. So let's see if we can hole out for eagle. Here we are, just short of the green. This is where my 4-iron ended up. You can see my pitch mark here. So I was, quite a bit short, but I did at least miss the more difficult stuff. I didn't hit any bunkers over here. I might have hit my hybrid in hindsight, just because I didn't really execute the shot how I wanted. I didn't, you know, what I was looking for was a perfect golf shot, and that's really an error from my part. And that's something that, you know, I even do another video on, is basically try and choose your average club and your average shot that's going to get you there, not your perfect shot. So I was actually looking at my perfect shot to get me there from, you know, whatever it was, 240 yards away or something with a forearm. A bit too far, even for me, uphill, not from a tee anyway. So here we go, chip shot anyway. Most of you will automatically default to your sand iron here to try and throw it all the way to the green. Now, this can be fine if you can practice this, and if you're feeling confident in your technique of throwing. We have ones about practicing in the backyard to get better at that, but let's do the normal 3 swings. So my first one, definitely too short. My second one, definitely too long, and my third one should be just right. So there's where I want to feel. I can see where I want to land the ball, just a little bit short and left. It's going to go relatively high. I'm going to feel the weight of the club. I'm just going to throw it up all the way. There we go. And actually threw it a little bit too far, and these greens are like 12 on the stimp meter. So even though I landed it like half a foot away, we've got, I don't know if you can see that, about a 7-footer. Not very good, at least from here. I wouldn't be very happy with that in competition anyway. So what's the alternative? What's the easier alternative? Here I have a 9-iron, a much bigger margin for error, where I can just place a nice bump and run onto the beginning of the green and let it roll out. As I said, the greens are rolling pretty quick, but they are uphill, so we need to really trust that the distance control that we have, the feel that we have, is replicating exactly what we want to achieve. Weight a little bit more on the left side, hands very passive, but feeling like everything is turning together as if we're just throwing underneath. So let's do the 3 swings. Too short, too long, just right. At least I hope so anyway. So weight on the left side, just the beginning of the green, and it runs out. And the greens have been cut today, but the point is, in hindsight, I would choose that shot every day of the week. Okay, so here we are. We've got an eagle chance. These greens are very fast. They're about 12 on the stimp meter. I'm still not very used to them. So we're going to aim just a few inches to the left here. It might seem a bit strange because actually it's going right to left, and you might be able to see that on the camera, I'm not sure. But the high part of the green is rolling away this way, and as it starts to die, the speed of the putt, it is going to turn right to left, and then it will flatten out and roll away. That's what I'm expecting. So even though I want to try and hit this with confidence, I do not want to go too far past. So I've got the line on the ball, just aiming about 4 inches to the left, and I want to make sure that I don't hit through the break too much, and actually trust that this read that I've got and understanding the lay of the land is going to give me the stroke that I want, or the putt that I want, as long as I execute a nice smooth stroke. So you can see there, it broke more than I expected. So you have to sometimes take a little bit extra time to figure out with the putting what is around you. But you know, golf doesn't have to be that hard if you take a little bit of time. Don't play slowly. I hate slow play, but take a little bit of time to understand what shots you're trying to hit. Make sure that you tell your brain what you're trying to hit, and then your body will respond a lot more frequently to what you actually want as an outcome. So hope you enjoyed that, and you know, a nice little birdie. Well, it doesn't really count because I hit a couple of balls, but each one made birdie, and hopefully you learnt a thing or two, and hopefully one day we'll get to play a few holes together. Thanks.